Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the journey with Dark Odyssey. Joe, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Chris. So this edition of The Journey, we're going to continue a discussion on witchcraft. It's a very, very long history, and there's a lot of instances that we can key upon. One of them, though, I feel, guys, we should talk about the Bell Witch. It's a very legendary haunting.
Sorry.
It's called the Bell Witch.
He said, I feel, guys.
What did I say?
Thank you.
Well, she cut me off. I was going to continue with the sentence.
You can still go. It's fine.
I was cut off, and I just like, huh? What happened?
Put that in the notes, Brian.
So we starting out. What are we doing here?
No.
Let's
go.
Okay.
So the Bell Witch
All right, I can
is
do this.
actually, I think the Bell Witch is a little bit of a myth, don't you?
Well, there's nothing to say that it actually happened besides,
Exactly.
there's a recorded history of it from that family, but who knows what was really going on.
Mm-hmm.
People like to blame things they don't understand on sorcery and witchcraft. And
So what exactly is the story with?
Chris, you know most of the story, don't you?
Kind of.
Do tell the rest of the class.
Tell the rest of class. Oh my God, aren't you like a
I'm
teacher?
so ready.
All right, so the Bell family had a haunting supposedly at their home. A lot of reporters and investigators considered it a poltergeist because it would affect the house, things in the house, and affect the members in the house. So the story goes along with the father, or the patriarch of the family, whose name is John, would see a big dog, and then it would disappear, and then random things started happening around the house. They would hear sounds. There would be banging.
This wasn't a regular dog, right? I think I've seen something on TV about this. Wasn't it like an oversized dog with glowing eyes? Something like that?
We're not talking about Scotland.
No, you told me about the Bell Witch. I saw a special about that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, most of the hauntings also took place on the actual property, not just
Right.
in the house. The seeing the dog would be all along the property, not just in the house.
Right.
And they would hear the voice
Right.
outside as well.
And the people who owned and lived in the house, the Bells, they were scratched, slapped, pinched. They would have their hair pulled. It would feel
Supposedly,
like
he was poisoned by her.
Supposedly, he was poisoned by her.
John
Exactly. And he apparently suffered from paralysis.
Yeah.
And it was believed that it was this entity, which is quite interesting because one of the theories is that the entity itself was not a witch; it was a jinn, which just seems to come all the way back around again.
Not the
Keep
jinn.
coming back.
Again.
Now, how'd you come to this conclusion?
Well, that's actually part of the history. The occurrences and the things that happened were more synonymous with a jinn than a witch.
That makes
especially,
much more sense. That makes much more sense. So first of all, there's no proof she was a witch. Where did they just called her a witch after she passed?
How do they even determine, trace it back to this woman?
Well, the entity called itself Kate, and they believe that it was Kate Batts. And Kate Batts was
Yeah, she referred to
crazy.
herself as Kate, and then another specific time she said, "I'm old Kate Batts."
right.
But we also know that entities can do that. They can say they are something they're not.
Right.
And
Right.
there's no proof, as far as I've seen, when I think Chris can back me up on that. There's no proof that she was a witch before she passed.
So if
So all of a
they,
sudden she became a witch after she passed.
so
All
they've
right,
got
but
a name.
I understand you wanted to defend. You witched them. You witched them.
I'm just saying.
But
I'm trying to find out
Which is their right.
how
which witch is which?
Which is which? That's good.
Which is it?
how they traced it to just any old Kate
Well, she said that's her name.
But
She's-
wait,
right,
the
but-
Bells the original owners of the house.
That is
Do they
not
know who
something
this
that
Kate
that
person
it says.
was?
Right,
The
what
thing
if
was,
that
and correct
they
me
were
if
the
I'm
previous
wrong,
owners? That's
she
what I was asking.
cursed him upon her deathbed, correct? And that's why I think they pointed it.
Well, why would she do such a thing?
Because he supposedly cheated her, whether it was out of land or money. If I'm And Chris is gonna
I think it
give
was
us
something
the
about
answer.
money. I think it was something about money.
Well, there's a lot to
they-
that Mr.
they-
John Bell that not many people know
I
about.
curse him too.
You know
I didn't
why?
Say that out loud.
He's a man.
So, I believe if you research enough in the story, it goes back to one of the Bells being in the army or the military, and they were surveying the land over that part of Tennessee, and he fell in love with that part. That he purchased the property. I don't think it was previously owned by a family, or if they were on the outskirts of that property. He purchased the property fresh. We're talking 1820s. So, he probably purchased the property from, I guess, the government at that time, most likely.
So there were previous owners. They don't know who they were.
No, I believe that they were
The first people that
First
lived in the
people?
house. So what?
the first people to buy the property, build a house there.
Oh,
We're talking
okay.
1820, Joe. So property owners were scattered.
it seems, as you look more into the history and everything, that the property was actually a Native American burial ground.
Well, that's
That explains the haunting.
that's probably
There you
true.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
And you know what? They probably said, just give the name Kate. Just say Kate. These people
blame it on
blame it on they'll call it a witch. Yeah, they're
Now-
not smart.
More interesting is that anytime somebody came in to refute it or to investigate it themselves back in the day, the people who would come in would try to ask this entity questions that no one else would have known. And it was actually said and written that the entity would mimic someone from that person's family. In the case of, they had a Englishman who stopped to
Coming
visit,
to light now.
and he wanted to see if it was true or not. And the entity, when speaking, started to mimic his mother's English accent.
Sounds witchy to me.
Really?
Really? Are you sure about that? Want to say?
Let me tell you what messing with that mic.
Sorry.
The biggest person to be interested in the whole concept of the Bell Witch, though, was Andrew Jackson.
Yes.
Andrew Jackson actually went to the property with his troops, who
got scared.
out of their minds and ran away.
Right behind you.
One of those situations. Right.
And then one of the theories is also that the woman or the entity was the ghost of a woman who John Bell supposedly murdered in North Carolina, which would be why it wanted to kill him.
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds to me like there's too many variables.
Right.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. I don't claim to be some type of paranormal expert by any means, but to murder somebody and they follow you and all of a sudden they're claiming to be a witch or and doing all these things, it just sounds a little weird. I mean, it's probably not even true. They're just probably coming up with some kind of explanation for things that they couldn't explain at the time. Just could be that they were,
Getting scratched.
sick or something
I mean-
from something that they were eating or drinking, possibly.
Well, if they, I mean,
well,
if
there's
they
a
were
well
getting-
on the property where
But that's,
supposedly it had something to do with the witch. I don't remember the exact reference to it, but there's a well on the property, and there was something about the well being cursed as also. I was going to say as well. Caught myself there. And it had reference to do with the woman who was claiming to be old Kate Batts and a witch. But it could have been just some kind of, something in the water poisoning them, or there was high levels of mercury or lead
well, I
in
mean,
the
if
water.
they were getting scratched and something was mimicking. I mean, listen, I'm not discrediting that it couldn't be an entity or even a jinn or an earthbound, but a witch. There's no proof. There's no proof that she was a witch before she
Well, there's
passed.
no proof
so
of any of this.
There's
Well,
no,
I
there's
don't
no
know.
No,
proof.
but I think the point is they're trying to.
they're naming
What
her
it
the Bell
seems
Witch.
like, because it's a
that is
a
kinda
nasty haunting, and because it seems dark,
And you guys are just trying to throw shade off the witches,
and
which I'm countering because We don't have proof of any of this even
Right.
happening.
Right, but we're
So,
talking about the
but
whole.
I think you're
point.
taking the approach that it can't be a witch, which
No.
instead of
no.
actually
It's
looking
not
for the
that
actual
it can't
cause.
be a witch.
No.
What I'm saying is
You know?
there is no proof that while
No,
she was
absolutely
alive,
not.
Right.
she
I agree.
was a witch.
So doesn't it
There's
seem
nothing there, so
doesn't
why
it-
say
right.
that she was?
So doesn't it seem
I know,
odd?
but I think you guys are too close to the subject to really see it full.
I don't know
honestly.
the bells.
I was
No,
just going to say, I
but
have
the
no
witch,
idea.
the
I've never
witch
been
part.
to Tennessee.
You're trying to push away the witch
No,
part.
because there's no witch part. What
So-
we're trying to say, if you
Well,
let
it
us
clearly
finish,
is a witch part because that's where the story comes from. It's called the Bell Witch.
Why?
You're asking the wrong person.
But
Why?
that's our point.
That
but
is
for-
the
that is the-
point.
that
But
is
for,
That's the
two-
point.
for
That's the
200
point.
years, it's
Calling
been
it-
called the Bell
But
Witch.
that's
But
our
Correct.
point.
It's been called the Bell Witch.
Yeah.
Because it was something that was not understood.
The Bible's called
Yeah,
a holy
absolutely.
book for 2,000, for 500 years. That doesn't make it true.
They call it what?
The Bible,
What do they call it?
a holy book.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
So they call her the Bell Witch, but
But why couldn't she have been a witch? Why couldn't
we're
she?
not.
But who is she? That's the whole thing.
I'd like to get off
There's
the
no
merry-go-round
proof
now.
that this person or the name Kate or whatever it was.
Yeah.
There's no proof that that person even existed.
Well,
Right.
yeah, they have reference to her when she was alive.
I'm not even.
There is
go-
reference to
I'm
her
not
alive,
even
and
addressing that.
and
Wait.
she
Wait.
was specifically.
Wait, I do have a question. Not to interrupt you, and I'm sorry. What year did this supposedly start?
1846, I believe.
1846.
It was. Let's see.
I just want to see if it.
Points of legend from 1817 to 1821.
I just want to see if it, like, when all the witch craze went crazy. I just want to see if that's when it was falling in that.
So now the more interesting part is that everything published or written about it was not written until 1894.
Right. So there
Which-
were stories told over
It
the
wa- right. So it was
That
stories.
got
So
documented.
okay.
Very much,
So
very
there's
much
a lot
similar
of
to the
fluff
Bible.
added to the story.
Right, and
before
we
it got
all get
put
that.
on
We
paper.
all get that.
Right.
There's no proof she was a witch. There's no proof she was a woman. There's no proof that she existed. We get that. Don't say a word.
No, but
But
there is technically
my
proof that
point
she was a
is-
woman who they had encounters
Okay.
with before she
okay.
died.
We'll take that. Put that here.
There's that.
But the point is, it was something that was mysterious. It was something that was apparently dark or dangerous
And scary.
and scary. So let's call it a
But
witch. That's the point we're trying to make.
Falsely
Yeah.
accused.
Again.
Right.
The whole stigma is so. Oh, never mind. I'm exhausted now.
It's all right, honey.
Well,
I got you.
just
I
got
got
strangled.
you. I got her.
Now,
So-
what
so now,
what
just-
you were saying, April, was that, well, was it part of the witchcraft? They were just trying to, well, she was already dead. So there was nothing that they could physically do to her. Oh, she's a witch, and then persecute her.
No, it was
No,
just
my
creating
point
the
is-
fear of witches.
Exactly.
She may have been.
Well, they were looking to try to explain what's going on.
No, what they were trying to do was create mass hysteria about witches
Well,
again.
you see, right there, I have to say no.
Why?
Because what would they have to gain doing that? So you're putting up can't be witches because, we represent witches today, which is totally different. I get that. And
No, I'm
But-
saying it can't be a witch because there was absolutely nothing documented, nothing about her conversations with him when he cheated
So
on her land.
basically-
That said,
Yeah.
she even practiced.
so what you're also putting out there is that there's no way a witch could be bad. No way. Right?
No, we didn't say
no,
that
I
either.
didn't say that
Well,
either.
okay. So
What I'm
let's
saying
start
is-
with that. Let's start with that.
Okay.
And there's no proof that she was a witch. There was no proof that this was actually this woman. But they did have encounters with this woman, and she died.
If that
and they
was the
tried,
woman.
and they tried to pin it. Oh, she was a witch. She's now dead, and this is witchery, and this is what's going
So-
on. Now, there's no proof any of that is any fact whatsoever.
Right.
I could probably
But-
tell you why they led that way, because of that one line in the whole tale is on her deathbed. She cursed him and his family.
I don't know if I remember seeing
That's
I don't
if
know if
you
I've seen that.
if you read about the Bell Witch on her deathbed, she cursed him and his family for cheating him.
that. Yeah,
Okay,
I don't remember seeing.
here's my
exactly
thing.
that.
How did she curse him? I hope you and your family. I mean, seriously, anybody can do that.
Anybody
If
who knows an Italian person was like,
Seriously,
Right?
Whole half of my family. it's
Just
probably
hand gestures alone.
right.
You're cursed.
So my thing is, if that's the one thing that they based it on, it's kind of weak. Entity, yeah.
And aside anything else, they're not calling it the Bell Ghost, the Bell Entity.
Should be the
Bell.
I think you
whatever.
guys are just a little sensitive to the subject.
No, not at all. It's just it doesn't make sense. Why coin the term the Bell Witch?
Right.
Why not the Bell
It's an
Ghost?
old legend, and I put as much stock into
Did
that.
that
as
happen when they
as I-
finally got put to pen to paper? After all the folklore all along the way.
And
Well,
after
evident-
all the witch trials and everything else that was going on the
when were the
entire,
witch trials? What year?
16 to
think-
1700s.
So this is way
14.
back.
The witch
Right.
hunt started about 1450 and
Well,
till about
America
1750.
specifically, 1640 to 1758.
1450.
So it's well established
In America?
already by this time that
In
Oh.
Europe.
right. What
No,
I'm
no, no,
saying
no.
is the
We're
word
talking
witch
about
is more catching.
Tennessee.
Right, of
It's
course.
more
Tennessee
catching.
wasn't
Yeah.
established until
That's why I said
1700.
fluff.
So
Right.
we're talking about that
Interesting
specific
story.
time. We're not
Not to
talking
be
about.
confused
There
with
was no internet to read about the witch trials in England or anywhere else. So these people were isolated onto themselves with very little news of the outside world.
I'm sorry. And
So
that too,
to all throw it into the
The
lump
witch
of
hunts.
we're just going to blame
went
everybody
on
and
in
everything on
America
witches.
Before that,
Listen, it's a stigma of the day. I grant that. That's no doubt. But you have to take into consideration the time period.
the witch hunts.
okay, wait.
were
Excuse me one
happening-
second. Both of you. Love you both. Chris, back to you. He's
Thank
been
you.
waiting.
In an authenticated history of the Bell Witch, Lucinda Rawls calls the Bell Witch the greatest scapegoat. Because every circumstance out of the regular order of things is attributed to the witch. It has not been long since a man claiming to be the witch was waylaid and murdered by two men who were cleared on the plea that the murdered man had bewitched them.
What?
So, if I am
Did
getting
everybody
this
else get that?
correct,
I was trying to work
if
it
I'm
out.
getting
Mike.
this
Okay.
correct, later on, some guy claimed that he was the witch,
And they killed him.
and two people killed him.
Yeah.
And those two people were acquitted
Yeah.
because
killed
they
the witch.
said no, because they said that the witch wanted them to kill it.
Ah. And when was this?
I don't know, but this is from the book.
Did the hauntings stop after they killed the?
No, because the
No.
hauntings are still technically going on till today. In the cave.
Yeah.
That's not a part of the original story.
Cave.
On the
Cave?
property.
Yeah, there is a cave.
Oh, yeah?
Cave?
Oh, you don't even know?
There
heard
is
about
a
the house.
cave.
I have never
Yeah,
heard
no,
of
there's
this
a cave
before
on the
in my
property.
life.
Yeah, there's a cave on the property where supposedly
She lived.
she lived.
Oh come on!
Wait, and they found that what was it? A kettle and a
Yeah, they found stuff in
a
there
tea
from the
kettle
time
because you know
period.
And a
whoa,
broomstick.
Everybody that owns a tea kettle is now a witch. So if any of y'all have a tea kettle, well,
Watch out!
watch
I
out.
have many tea kettles, but then again,
Well, that's not a good example.
And I recently saw an investigation done there in 2019 where they actually got some EVP readings. They got some spirit box readings
Nice.
of some wild stuff.
Well,
And we
I'm
can talk about
thinking,
that later
I'm
because I'm
thinking
not
that
going to
should be
plug
put on
that
our
show.
calendar of places to
Heck
go.
yes.
Yes.
Bonnie
I'd love to.
Hanline
That would
in
be
like to.
awesome. Think about
I'd love
it.
to.
Bonnie Hanline in 1977 recounted a time during her childhood in 1944 when she was exploring the cave. Look, I found it.
There you go.
And who said that? They explored
Then
the cave?
Bonnie Hanline.
And what she find?
She was playing hooky and she
Random
borrowed a
person, I
lantern
guess.
from the cave owner. She explored the cave with her friends over the course of several years. She said that while she was in the cave, the lantern would just mysteriously blow out. You're in a cave. There's no wind in
Yeah.
caves.
And the lanterns aren't supposed to blow out.
Right. When she relit the lantern, it immediately blew out again. So they crawled along a path where she saw an opened can of pork and beans and marshmallows.
Wait.
Fluffernutter. There it
Circulating
is.
sound.
Right there. I knew it.
Apparently, two escaped fugitives were in the cave. And she credited the witch with helping her avoid them. Now, there's no inkling as to, and there's no explanation of why she credits the witch.
Yeah.
It's just she went. This kid went exploring in a cave, and her lantern blew out, and she was scared. And back in the day, whenever anything was out of the ordinary or something
Well, this is
happened, no matter
1970s.
right?
We're not talking
no, this is the
It
1940s.
happened in 1940.
It doesn't matter.
oh.
It's still. It's all. It's a stigma. Whenever something
Your time period.
it's
your time
a
period's
stigma.
a little different
It's
there.
still a stigma now.
It's a stigma
After the
now.
1860s, wait. Let's back up a little bit here. After the 1860s and the Civil War, a lot of people changed their beliefs in the afterlife. Okay, people wanted to reach out to their dead loved ones that were lost to the war, and a big change happened over this country where people got into spiritualism, which brought us to our next segment about the Ouija board, because it was the biggest craze that happened, because we went from seeing spiritualism as something bad to bringing it into the light.
But you're referring
where
to
we-
the occult. The occult, the interest in the occult, the mediumship,
Well,
and
but-
speaking
but-
to the dead.
But I know what he's talking about. That time period
Right.
when the Theosophical
So-
Right,
Society,
exactly.
started,
It's
Madame
what we-
Blavatsky.
Right, it's
Oh,
like what we based
and
the
there was a
class
change
on.
in the philosophy looking towards that subject.
But
But not witches.
It's
Because that's a
it
practice.
opened up the
It's
door,
different, right.
Yes, to the
It's a
occult,
different thing.
all the occult sciences.
Absolutely, I
spirits,
agree with that. 'Cause we teach
Meditation,
that.
magic, astral traveling, all that. But she's right, not witches.
Not witches.
So that brings us into the segment Dark Oddity, where we're going to talk about something paranormal and a little odd. And today's subject is going to be Ouija boards, which kind of fits along with our discussion that we were having previously about the shift in the way people look at spiritualism and whether it's good, whether it's bad, dark or light. And the spectrum kind of shifts a little bit during the ages from, we were just speaking about the Bell Witch from the, 1820s? So you shift forward a little bit to the Civil War era, where people wanted to start understanding about death more, because so many Americans died in this country during the Civil War that people were changing their beliefs because they wanted to find out what was going on, as opposed to just being afraid of it, which 30, 40 years earlier was a witch did it, or it was some evil specter. And Ouija boards go back to about the 1100s. I think the first writings that we have in our history is from China in the 1100s.
During the
Where-
Song Dynasty.
Yeah, where it was viewed as something good until the next dynasty took over, and then they outlawed it. But it's part of history.
The King Dynasty.
Yeah, they basically, it changes. The outlook changes by the rulers, pretty much, in certain, aspects of culture.
I gotta say though, I mean they didn't make the first Ouija board was made in when?
1890 was patented.
1890 it was
Was
patented.
patented.
Right.
The first ones on record were on written record were from the 1100s in China. Here in the Americas, when it started to gain popularity in the 1800s, right after the Civil War, the game was a little different. Well, we call it a game. It's not really a game, but it was a basic numbers and letters in a circle, and then you would ask a spirit to spell its name, and you would ask it to dump on the wall or something like that. And it was really, hours and hours to sort of play this game. It was intended to be a game, and people got to try to satisfy that curiosity of speaking to the deceased, as well as kind of play a game. But there was no viable way to really do this. Waiting for knocks on the walls, it could take hours, days, and people lost interest. So what they did is they streamlined it into a board with a planchette with a hole in the middle, and that would just lead you to the letters and stuff like that. And the boards were pretty
And that's
similar.
like the modern one.
Yeah, and that was pretty similar to most of the Ouija boards through the history of the board itself. Prior to that, they just had in a circle the numbers written on paper, and each paper had a number and a letter, and then you would ask the spirit to
And
signify
the
which
Ouija
one.
board in China, when it first was invented, was used in the same capacity?
No, it was spread out numbers and
No,
letters.
I mean to contact.
Yeah, to contact spirits. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And do we know why the next dynasty outlawed it?
They just viewed it as something that was,
From
you know,
witchcraft.
yeah, witches. They blamed the witches,
Always
burned the
blame the
boards. No. And
I'm just curious why.
Yeah, I'm
It
curious if
doesn't-
something happened.
one
or,
leaded to another.
right?
It's just a different philosophy.
Right, but you change. That's a big change.
they
And
were
They
they
decided
were evil empires.
they decided that it was necromancy and
Yeah.
it was against their beliefs.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's all it takes. When the next ruler doesn't like it, it's out the window. Everybody loses a penis.
Back to that.
Sorcery.
Fun fact: in 2001, Alamogordo, New Mexico, actually the township rounded up all the Ouija boards and Harry Potter books and burned them in the town square.
stop it.
Well,
2001.
let's not visit that town,
2001.
please.
Come on. Oh, crazy.
Can you see it now? Dark Odyssey, you've been held against for crimes against humanity.
I'm working with witches.
I would be okay though, apparently, because men can't be witches.
That's right.
That's why you bring up tiki torches.
Yes.
Bastard.
So the Ouija boards came into the spotlight as something good, and they got patented. I believe it was 1890. The patent was filed. 1891, it was actually granted permission. Now, the funny part of that story is Elijah Bond, the guy who received the patent, was a lawyer for a guy named William Fold, I believe his name was, for the Kennard toy company, I believe it was. And the patent clerk demanded to see that this thing actually worked before he grants the patent. So they held a seance in his office, and they proceeded to show him that the board actually works. So that was pretty wild, and I guess he was convinced because the patent was granted
Right,
in
he got it.
1891, and the first modern-day Ouija board was put on the assembly lines and rolling out to the stores and games and bookstores and all around the
games aisles
country.
being sold to kids.
Yeah, and they did extremely well with it.
They still do extremely well with it.
Oh,
for some
yeah,
reason.
you know. I like that. You gotta be 18 to smoke and 13 to summon demons.
Right.
Good one, society. So, and it gained popularity, and it's been popular ever since. I mean, we don't view it as something evil, but through the course of time, opinions do change. The Ouija board got its worst, I believe, in my opinion, its worst views after The Exorcist came out in 1973. She was directly possessed by a demon through the Ouija board, Captain Howdy, and if we all had seen that movie.
In the 1970s, sociologists considered anyone who took part in a Ouija board
Satanism.
game as a cult member.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where it started to flip again, and society kind of went haywire. Oh, damn Christians. And, not too long after, we had some of our favorite heavy metal band artists on trial for, doing crazy things that they never did. So society is just, it's just weird the way, Dee Snider and Rob Halford, they were all on trial. Ozzy Osbourne for inciting people to kill themselves and stuff like that. Heavy metal made me kill myself. Ozzy Osbourne, shit like
Heavy
that.
metal. Did they come back from the dead to say that heavy metal made them kill themselves?
I think
I'm-
kids
pretty
left
metal.
notes specifically saying the songs told me to, and then there was a big trial. Yeah, you can look that up. There's the documentaries on it and
That should be
everything.
put on trial to be responsible for someone else's decision.
And
That's-
and I remember Halford specifically because of his style that he spoke, where at the end of his lyrics he would go ha like that. He would like sing a verse, and then he would end his verse with like a specific sound out of his mouth, like ha, and they attributed him to putting that in and being able to play it backwards to say Satan and things like that.
Oh,
It
well, that was a big
crazy.
thing back then. Play it backwards.
Yeah, it was crazy.
If you listen to
and
the
he was
record
just
backwards.
like, that was just me enunciating the words and getting it out with passion. And they're like, no, you're guilty. You're guilty. And all these freaking Christians up there and Bible belters, wanting to burn them at the stake. It was nuts. And I was old enough back then to really understand what's going on. I don't know about you three, but you guys are around my age. So, we lived through that, and that was kind of sick. If you listen to a certain music, you were stigma, you were bad, you were evil, and just society in itself is just back crazy sometimes.
I remember they vandalized my grandmother's house.
Really?
Yeah. They
Ozzy?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
Awesome.
kids.
Ozzy
Just
and Rob
went
Halford?
and spray painted her front door.
Really?
You're a witch.
Whoa.
You're gonna go to hell, burn
Wow.
in hell. You're on spray painted the concrete, the walkway up
Yeah.
to the front door. Yeah.
Dang. People
Fun
are
fact
crazy.
number 2. The band, Mars Volta, had an album called Bedlam and Goliath. They came up with the concept of all the songs from Ouija board sessions.
And that's a great point. That is outrageous. There's also several
happy he
books
got.
written. There's also several books written that the authors contain that the books were written by the Ouija boards. And they were told what to write through the Ouija board. Books got published by unknown authors,
What are they
supposedly
about?
the dead,
Oh.
which, yeah, that's a little out there. But several books were written.
Pazuzu!
So, Ouija boards reach out and touch everybody's lives in
Yeah.
some way or another. And
Ouija boards rock.
I think they get a bad rap sometimes, but if you don't know what you're doing, I guess it's a
Right, they're not
bad thing.
inherently a bad thing, but they can open the door to bad things.
And the point too, and one of us, don't remember which one of us brought that up, was what's the difference between a Ouija board and a spirit box? What's the difference?
Yeah.
That was you.
That was you. There you go.
Great question. yeah.
What is the real difference there?
I'm still asking.
If you're looking for something to contact you,
You know what? And I think I said the first time, which is what I was going to say just now, which is I don't think they're any different. I think it's energy exchange.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
See, the only difference I think is that if you're using a spirit box and you're in a specific place, right? You're contacting whatever spirit's supposed to be there.
yeah.
Where a Ouija board, my personal opinion, it opens the door. You're like open the door and say, hey, anybody who happens to be around, walk on in. I think it's more.
But that's the same with the
I
spirit
think your
box.
spirit box, you're going in. If you bring a spirit box in here and you're looking to contact any entity or spirit that's here, you're looking just for what's specific to here.
But
I mean, that's how I'm looking at it. But a
yeah,
Ouija
I
board,
would
you
look
can
at it.
open the
I would look at it
door.
like that, but then I would wonder,
Everything in the back seat.
how do we know that for sure? How do we know?
Well, we
it's
don't. But I'm
only
saying
the-
if you want a devil's advocate, that's how I view it.
Now, I look at that kind of similar because anytime I've had Ouija board sessions, I would do a little meditation and open myself and then try to channel or talk to something through the board. Spirit box, I flip the switch, let's go. What's on the radio? So for me, it's two different processes, totally. Now, I don't use Ouija boards anymore. It's been a long time, but that's how I approach them. Spirit box, let's go. It's different for me. So I see your fact.
It's more here. It's quicker. It's more about technology here. We can get this quicker if we use radio.
Right, and not only that, it's like what Rice is saying. You just flicking the switch and it's what's already here, as opposed to the Ouija board where you have to go into the cave, walk through, open
Come on
open the
in.
gateway.
We're back to a cave. Like
And we're back to the damn cave.
it's cyclical.
That ding bell witch.
Damn
No, it's
witches.
that damn cave crickets.
So, bringing up the Joe was saying that we should. Joe was saying that we should tell that story from last week.
Yeah.
Since he leaned over
Since
and
he
did the
leaned
noise
over
in
and
my
did it.
ear.
So Joe.
I kind of have this thing about telling stories about things that happen where they actually happen.
It didn't happen here.
Well, no, we're not
No, he's
that.
talking
No, we're
about,
talking about the other. We're
when
talking
you
about
guys
the
got
one in my
food.
car.
in the car.
Oh, that! No! That's a different noise. The noise that happened
Oh my gosh.
was.
Oh yeah, because nobody else.
Your car was like. That was very different experience.
So.
I didn't my pants in your car. Very
You
different.
look like you did.
But you didn't smell like you did.
So,
Thanks, Joe.
Joe and I are sitting in my car and we're talking about how Joe Rice and I are sitting in my car and we're talking about how we're moving forward with our company and how the different things that we want to do and how we want to go about it. And the two of us fell silent, and from the back seat of my car, which no one was in, all you heard was
It was more of a.
I really wish I was there for that.
But
That was so
I looked
funny.
at Chris. Chris looked at me. We looked into the back seat, looked at each other again, and we were like, "What the f- was that?"
And I can imagine, I can just picture two in that whole scene, them looking at each other and then getting out of the car.
We did not get out of the car. We did not get out of the car.
We were sitting there
Yeah,
going,
like-
so what just talked to us?
I was just happy. We were both ecstatic that each
other one
other
heard.
heard it.
Yeah, really. Like,
Like, you heard that too?
that's what I would have been thinking.
Like,
It's like,
what?
did you just make that noise? Or?
I didn't hear that alone. Thank you, God. Wasn't alone this time.
So cool.
So what you're saying, Joe, is that you hear a lot of voices while you're by yourself?
Here, yeah. Something kind of like roared in my ear about 3-4 weeks ago.
Joe,
here.
camera, now!
I freaked out.
Stop.
Yeah.
How minute you know I'm gonna lose it again.
Yeah.
I just.
And I was just so
sorry.
happy
Music
that
is the
it didn't
doctor.
just happen to me that time. Just so happy. Somebody else heard it too. And Chris felt the same relief. Oh, that was good times. Good times.
We needed that laugh. Oh,
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Good times.
Sorry it was at your expense.
I wish I heard it
It was
too.
still.
I know, right?
I had
Imagine it was all four of us in the car and we heard something like that.
We heard "Go Away" in the car. It was not that loud.
No.
Now you're it was go just like that.
It's just like
And
that.
but then all four of us all look at each other like,
That would go away.
Rewind it. Can you rewind it?
That is go away.
hold on a
Do it
second.
again. Do it again.
Hold on a second.
That is go away. That is go away. You go away.
You think it says you?
Yes.
What do you think?
I can't make out that first. It sounds like that, but it's
Do it
definitely
again. Play
sounding
that
more
again.
like go away now. I'm definitely hearing go away. That's definitely go away.
I
That's
think it
definitely
says-
go away.
I think it says you go away, but
That we got
oh
that.
my God.
I cannot
But
believe
listen.
that we got that. Now, shh.
That's definitely go away.
It does sound like it says I know you're here. I'm not sure if I'm hearing the entire word here, but it sounds like I know you're some. That's I know.
What was that?
you're-
That was us?
I think that was the
No,
bang.
that was
the beginning of it.
Yeah. That was it.
That also sounded. No,
was
that wasn't it.
Yeah, that was the
First
that's
one.
the first one.
Back it up. I want to hear that again. It sounded like go away again.
It sounds like I know you're.
I hear.
I'm hearing the fourth one.
I'm hearing four.
I'm also hearing the fourth
Where?
word.
Where's our fourth word?
In the phrase.
I hear 3. I don't hear that 4th.
I mean, that's clear as crystal.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know if I hear you yet. I don't hear you.
I don't hear
Then
you.
what do you think that first syllable is?
It's not you. It's not you. It's like almost like a double go away. That's kind of what I'm hearing, but
I think go away before the 2.
no. You gotta isolate that.
If it's not you, and maybe it was
Yeah.
like breathing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hearing.
Definitely said go away though.
Oh yeah. Now I'm gonna ask a question.
So now,
Don't punch Joe in the face. Chris, that was not you, right?
That was not me.
Okay.
That was not you, right?
I thought he was gonna say, "Can we re-record the song now?"
You know, it's funny too. The room we did that EVP in was the room that I thought I heard voices in last week. Now that could have been that.
Well, Chris
that
thought he
group.
heard stuff too in that room today.
That could have been that
Earlier.
group that we saw outside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It
that's
could have
what I
been
thought
those
it was,
voices.
but
like
who the f knows?
when we were in that room last week, I 100% heard voices. I don't know if it was disembodied.
No, I remember that. I remember that. Exactly.
Oh,
that is
great.
irrefutable evidence that we caught something paranormal.
Can we?
Did that say that?
That was when it all
Wait,
became
rewind it.
real.
Yeah.
That was when it all became real. It all started to click. I was like,
Absolutely.
wait, what?
Absolutely.
Right, before that, we just thought that you were a crazy lunatic.
Yes. No, welcome to my world.
No, it was
Everybody take a seat. Let's have some fun. And that's what we're here for, to bring you all the evidence, all the things that we experience, and let you decide for yourself, because, you know, that's what it's all about. It's all about your own perception of what is out there. What is a ghost? What is a spirit? What are they one and the same? Are they different? What is it? Question everything. Catch us next time on The Journey. Thank you for joining us. Good night, everybody.
peace.
Night.
Night. An earthbound spirit who decided she was going to... An earthbound that decided she was going to sit. Sorry, would you like some personal time? We have a room in the back, all right?
Any lower, I'm using this. All right, how low you want to go? Closest thing I can get to a glove at the moment.
The Bell Witch. The woman they call. No! Let out!
That was the last user at the farm colony, so I don't know what's on there.
Why? Why is this not being filmed? Why is
No one said it wasn't! Hey!
Now there's something on it.
Look at Cole's face.
Hold on.
Like,
I don't
what? Guys walking.
Cole's like on that.
Betsy Bell called off her engagement to
Yeah,
Joshua Gomez subsequently.
The spirit said it didn't
Entity told
want her
the
to get
family
married.
it was
like,
going to
sometime before.
leave but return in 7 years. The witch returned on time to Lucy. And
I'm rolling.
no, I am not rolling. I do not care to
Are you on hold?
Are you sure?
Rolling,
Sure. I don't want to lose your audio.
rolling on.
I'm on hold.
Let's take a look
How
at it,
many
John.
times you've heard that word?
Let's look at it. All right.
Joe,
Is it going?
Thousands of times have you heard that.
Every night and day.
Thank you.
And I never lost a minute of sleeping.
Till I used to ride on the railroad queen. Big wheels keep on turning.
Proud Mary, keep on
burning.
rolling,
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 rolling.
rolling on the river.
All right.
And the pillows go flying. Brian, Brian, Brian.